Hey guys, Brandon for Brandon's Baseball Cards here. Hope you're all doing well. From time to time on this channel, I like to chat with fellow collectors, and in particular, fellow unopened collectors. And there is a fellow unopened junkie, if you will, who has a YouTube channel that he's created pretty recently. Tony, his channel is Tony Talks Cards, and he's very graciously agreed to chat with me today. Tony, how's it going?
Great, Brandon. Yeah, thanks for reaching out. You reached out to me probably back in October, said, hey, if you ever want to do a collaboration, I had probably no subscribers, no videos. It was you from the Vintage Wax and Packs group. So appreciate you reaching out. And yeah, looking forward to talking today for sure.
No, absolutely. So your big focus, you're kind of different than what I do because you focus a lot more on football than baseball. Is that a
It
fair?
is. Yeah. I grew up being a football fan from the year after the Bears won the Super Bowl. Didn't have a football or baseball team, and I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. Had some minor league teams, but no football teams. But the first game I watched was a Bears game. I thought, well, they won. They won last year. I must devote my whole life to liking the Bears, and that hasn't served well for me the last 35 or so years, except for a few spikes here and there. But yeah, football mostly.
Okay. And are you more with your pack collecting? Are you more focused on specific players, or is it or for with the Bears, or do you just any Bears packs? Like, what is your?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Bears packs, we have a lot of Hall of Famers who showed up on tops of packs, which makes them a lot more pricey to get. Even the
Sure.
commons, people love the Bears, right? Chicago has a wide span of fans across the US and the world, probably. For me, it's more, I think, recreating what I walked into in my local card shop back in
Mhm.
grade school and seeing the packs unopened, what's in them. So if they could be just wax packs, that's totally cool. But rack packs, Zilla packs with people on top where you can see the top and back if it has a connection to maybe the Bears, or I'm looking for a run of certain types of players or things or inserts on tops of packs, it kind of varies, but I like both things that are showing and kind of the surprise inside with wax packs.
Sure. So, how far back will you go when you're ripping a pack? Like, do you have a time period that you anything past this I won't touch, I'll keep it sealed, or do you?
So
Um,
I haven't touched really anything. I mean, I started from like
oh,
the 90s where I think maybe a few weeks ago I said, hey, I'm going to rip a couple 89 Pro Set. I did that on my channel. 89 Tops Football. They're cheap. I got them from a big bundle off of I think the Facebook site. Just kind of
mhm.
fun, see what's in there, but I don't open anything, despite how cheap and
Oh,
expensive it may be. I opened a lot, of course, in grade school and high school and junior
sure,
high.
sure.
It's more kind of keeping it in the aesthetic of looking like it's
Mhm.
a card shop. It's unopened. It's in the box. The label is up there. So it's kind of that kind of thing for me, I guess.
Sure, sure. Yeah, to me, it's the people that rip, especially stuff people that rip like 89 Pro Set. That's just a fun rip. Did you get the
Yeah,
Barry Sanders, by the way?
I did not know.
Okay.
A few rookies who were great, who were going to be great back in '89, but didn't really pan out. So yeah,
Sure, sure. Um, so I think people, the people that will just say, "Well, just I could just open it, just open it." To me, it's most of the time, if there's a card you're looking for, you can
Mm,
get it in the grade that you're looking for, with some exceptions, of course.
yeah,
The allure is not opening it to hit this card. The cards are obtainable. And
yeah.
that's what I try to make clear on my channel. It's just that there's just so it's so much rarer and unopened than the card itself that it's the allure of that, and also what you pointed out, the aesthetics of the packs, I think are
Yeah,
really nice.
how they look. I
Uh,
mean, it's artwork on a piece of wax, and I love
yeah.
the designs in baseball and football. A lot of them were
Mhm.
similar, just different color schemes. They'd rotate every year: red, yellow, green, blue. Baseball and football had some of that same stuff too. So it just kind of takes you back to seeing those things and wondering what's in them for 45 cents or 35 cents or whatever it was. And they're a lot more, of course, pricey right now.
Sure. Do you have a favorite design of wax pa or, like, is there a year that you just love the artwork on the front more than others?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the older ones I can't quite afford now are really cool from the 70s and 60s,
Sure.
but I can show you one right now, I guess. And it's one that was
Sure.
repeated quite a lot for football from probably 85 to maybe 91. Here, I brought one here. So these are, whoops, there we go. 87 Tops Football. This one
Sure.
actually has a Kmart, I think it's Kmart, upside down
Mhm.
Kmart price sticker on it. 30 some cents, I think it may have said there. So I like seeing those. I probably bought a lot at Kmart too, But again, Topps
Hmm.
football rotated between this kind of visual from 85 to 91, I think it was, with, green, blue, red, yellow, whatever the kind
Hmm.
of mixture was. But this was the first year I probably really collected a ton of them. And thankfully,
Sure.
they're not that pricey individually or as a whole set, or even a wax box, maybe 250, $300. I
Hmm.
love 86 Topps football.
Sure.
Unfortunately, some guy named Wake has his rookie card there, so I can't quite recreate those memories as much as I would like to with 87. So that's a tough one, but I love the green. I love the green on the card, the kind of the green, the white hash marks behind it on that card.
Hmm.
Again, they had a different view of this, different color scheme as well with this one too.
Sure. I love the price stickers, and in particular,
I
I
know you
like it
do.
when
Yeah.
you've seen some, I'm sure, on
Yeah.
Facebook, and the ones where the price it's been marked down and there's, like, 6 price stickers on a pack. I don't know why that's so cool to me. It's like, here's an 81 Donruss pack that finally
Yeah.
sold to some guy for a nickel.
I would
You
have
know?
bought it. Where was it at?
Yeah, 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 like, just it's sitting there just, "Okay, we're gonna keep lowering this until somebody takes the bait here."
And
Uh,
someone made those price stickers on every single pack, put them on 36 at a time, one by one, and 10 cents, 5 cents, whatever it was. That was some probably high school kid's job to do that.
mm.
And 10 cents, come on, man, buy this
Yeah,
pack.
absolutely. And some of them are the random companies that are like Joe's Pharmacy, with a price sticker. To me, I don't know why that's so cool. The Kmart ones are really cool because I would buy cards there too when I was. We
Yeah.
actually, my grandfather and I, we would go to Kmart to look for starting lineups. That,
Yeah, I
that was
remember
like,
those. Hmm.
yeah, that was like his big thing was hunting for starting lineups, and I never. He always gave me some, but I was never
Hmm.
like I never really I have some, sentimental ones, but
Yeah.
that part of collecting never really took root. He's always offer, "Oh, I've got you wanna go look at my starting lineups?" I'm like, "I love
Yeah.
you, but that's not really but anytime I see that Kmart sticker, it reminds me of that. So it's kinda cool, the
Yeah. Speaking of
sentimentality of it.
pharmacies too, I have another one from 87 Top. Sorry. I think
Oh,
it's
sure, no.
P&G, maybe pharmacy, 40 cents.
There
So
you
again,
go.
bought this off eBay. Pretty sure the back looks pretty good with the roller marks and all that, but wasn't really kind of trying to grade or kind of hoping it was perfect, but just seeing some of those things on top and wondering where was G&G Pharmacy? It wasn't in Tucson, wasn't in Phoenix, where I'm at right now.
Sure.
Some random place had some packs on their countertop.
Well, what's funny is sometimes you and I look at the same packs on eBay because I I
I'm
saw
sure.
that one when I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Where the heck was that?" Yeah,
Yeah.
G&G. Yeah, there's Bird's Pharmacy. I think I've had packs with I don't know where Bird's Pharmacy was, but
Yeah.
at some point there was one I had a 84 Donruss pack, I think, that had that on. It's just random, but to me, that's
Interesting.
that's so cool because it adds to the story of the pack.
Yeah,
Um,
for
so
sure.
so you've recently returned to the hobby, right? Did I read that correctly? Like you took a break for a while.
Yeah, I've probably been in and out like 3 times. I'm kind of
Sure.
back in for the third time now, but I
Sure.
got back in. Well, before we had our first son, I got back into
Mhm.
buying and mostly with unopened packs and vintage sets
Sure.
from like pre-80s, 70s, 60s, and 50s, but sold all
Sure.
that off about 10 years ago before COVID, which I probably hadn't, to help
Mhm.
put a down payment down on the house we're in right now. But probably
Mm.
about 2.5 years ago, got back into, you know what, let's try to actually sell more to buy more. I sold a
Mhm.
bunch of old stuff off to get more back into some, unopened stuff I had been probably 15 years before that. And so
Mhm.
now getting into more, baseball, different types of football, and using the YouTube channel to learn about more different types of things I haven't known about before, meet other collectors like yourself. And so kind of
Sure.
in a different way, I guess. I never fully like
Mhm.
left and like forgot about it. I've always kept everything I've had. I've sold or gotten rid of very little in terms of like core grade school stuff. But I have
Sure.
sold and bought a lot of kind of recent things, I guess. But yeah, now I'm more into kind of this way of interacting and collecting. Yep.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, and I try to explain to people because I buy and sell too, as and I have a core section to my collection, but
Hmm.
other things I'm willing to part with if it'll help me buy something else. And
Yep.
like you, I have a family and there's budgetary limitations. And
Yep.
sometimes I don't know if you've experienced this, but that's why it's terrible to look at the REA whenever they have their auctions when they first go up. Because then I
Yeah.
start looking at stuff and I'm like, what can I sell to help fund this
Yeah.
battle? Like, but
Yep.
it's to me that's part of the fun though too is moving pieces around. It's
Yep.
kind of a hustle. And my wife is always like, "You are always hustling with your hobby," and I think that's kind of how. Do you take a similar approach? Do you try to? I mean, it's It sounds like you kind of hustle with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think I early on it was just collect whatever you could and then keep it all, right? And at some
Sure.
point, why I sold the I had a so my background is I had a bunch of vintage football sets from when I was in grade school. I bought back from like
Yeah.
78 to 88 through high school, all that stuff. And
Sure.
then back in '08, I found this thing called eBay and I was late to the game. Like eBay has cards. Whoa, these cards are like what I used to have. Wow, eBay has all this stuff, right? And bought a bunch of
Sure.
stuff up and then had a nice collection of unopened boxes, baseball, football, and sets. And in
Mhm.
2018, we bought this new house. I decided, you know what, moving to a smaller house. I can't store this stuff anymore. I'd love to. It would take up too
Mhm.
much space. Sold it
Sure.
all. I had one of the guys from BBCE come out and buy a bunch of my wax boxes. Like came in his truck late at night, looked at my stuff on my counter, bought it all. I'm
Sure.
like, this is interesting and crazy, but it was cool. It helped for a need at the time, which was that more space, thinning out the collection. Was happy to do it. Like I said, I wish I had
Sure.
all those boxes back through COVID, but I try not to think about that too much given how much
Sure.
things
Sure.
skyrocketed. But right now it's kind of like, hey, I like it now. It's cool, but in 6 months, I may not. And as long as
Mhm.
I don't, I guess, spend too much on the buy, and maybe you
Mhm.
lose a few bucks out of, eBay fees or PayPal fees, things like that, it's more or less the same value. And if I can kind of switch it out and we lose a little bit or at least break even to something I like now more in 25 than maybe 23 or 24, I won't do it I'm not trying to actually do that. But if I see something that catches my eye, I always think, what are my things that I own do I like the least? And maybe I still won't pull the trigger, but I may
Sure.
think about it for the next time or the next time, right? And kind of have that
Mhm.
stash of things I could go to. But it's also a hassle to sell, right? You package it up, you
Yeah.
sell, you find a buyer. Hopefully the buyer's a good person and doesn't kind of, jerk you around too much.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's as I see things, I kind of think about what could I if the budget is not there in the current month. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Do you have what is your go-to when you're making purchases? Do you go to a lot of card shows? Do you do a lot of buying with the major auction houses? Is it eBay only? Like, what is your approach when you're looking for? Because unopened, as you know, is especially it's few and far between sometimes, and you
Yep.
kind of have to utilize whatever resources are there
You
because
do. Yeah, and I
you
think
won't
with the
always find
Facebook
stuff.
group we're part of, that's where I find a lot of stuff, right?
Sure.
And I trust a lot of those buyers and sellers. I've been there probably active-ish for maybe 2.5, 3 years, not as long as some other people have been. But
Hmm.
over those couple of years, you kind of see people, who's trusted, who has the most, checks on their name and people who can vouch for people, right? So I'll look at those. Auctions, I've never bought off packs off an auction. I don't think I have. I bought more single cards off those.
Hmm.
But I've
Sure.
also gone to the National in Chicago 4 or 5 times, and I came back with a bunch of boxes in 2023. But again, that was
Sure.
also really heavy to bring back, and that I wouldn't do that again. With
Sure.
security opening your bag, and what are these things sealed in plastic? That could be something bad, and no one touched them, thank goodness. But lesson learned, I won't do that again. I'll buy things before, or maybe have the FedEx back, from Chicago back to where I live right now. So it's probably the Facebook group, eBay as
Hmm.
well. But again. I know there's some sketchy things with eBay and seeing both sides of a pack. Has it been resealed? And I'm really junior when it comes to knowing some of the things to look out for. I kind of learned a lot from you and others of seeing, oh, that's what a roller mark is. That's what a
Hmm.
quarter fold means. That's how it looks really bad. That looks really good. And seeing some that are graded, you can say, well, I was graded this way. Maybe that's how they all should look. This one looks nothing like that. Oh, shoot. I wonder if
Hmm.
that's going to be, stay away from that right now. So I've learned a lot by
Yeah.
watching and seeing other
Hmm.
people's comments, but the group's been great to buy and sell on.
Yeah, there's some really, really good people on there that freely share knowledge that is difficult, that takes time to learn. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some really, really, and they're happy to help, which is wonderful because if you're stingy with your knowledge, more people are going to get ripped off. It's just the
Yep.
fact of the matter, you know. So it's a public service that I think is really valuable. That's awesome. You've been to the National so many times. I've been. This will be. Are you going this year?
I am going. Yep.
Fantastic, I'm going to. Yeah, this will be my
Perfect.
5th, and it
Nice.
is
Okay.
yeah. Do you have any, items that do you go with, like, a want list, or what's your approach when you go to a show like this?
Yeah, this may be my fifth too, and I've only gone to the ones in Chicago because it's closer to
Okay,
get here from Phoenix than it is to go to Atlantic City or Cleveland. And again, being a Cubs fan, you'll find probably more Cubs and Bear stuff in Chicago at the Nationals. I find that's nice too. The
sure.
show's right near the airport, so it's easy to get to as well. So I've gone, I think,
Mm,
every odd year since like 2013, which is like the Chicago years, it feels like. Um,
sure.
I haven't go in the past. I went with a list of boxes to get, and I came back with a suitcase full, and it was way too heavy. So I checked off
Yeah.
that list, did it, but I won't do that again. I was also completing some vintage football sets in 2023. So I had my list of things I needed from the Philadelphia sets, the Fleer sets, the top sets of football in the 60s and 70s. Bought them. Love scoping
Mhm.
through like commons and binders and pages and all that stuff. So I did come with that. This year, probably a lot more narrow in terms of maybe a few packs. I can find some packs that maybe have some bears on top and graded or
Mhm.
raw. I'm trying to put together some runs of certain things, of certain, I guess, common things I collect in terms of making the packs unique to me, like certain packs with 1,000 Yard Club or glossy cards on top. I'm missing
Mhm.
one with this guy on top or this guy on top. So if I can find that, a needle in a haystack, I may find that right there. Also
Sure.
looking maybe for some vintage baseball, vintage football cards, but it's gonna be a lot more narrow and less heavy of a
Mm.
list. You know what I mean? In terms of carrying boxes back. So I
Sure.
love walking it. It's like a museum. I mean, you can see so much that you just can't see it all, but I love seeing it all.
Mm.
Talking to people who have the cards. What are you buying? What are you selling? I love to meet, people like yourself out there too, maybe this coming time in August of this year too. Be great.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. How many days do you typically stay? Because this is, as you pointed out, it's a museum, but it's overwhelming. It's completely overwhelming, especially if it's your first national or even I mean, I've been like you and I, we've been the same amount. The
Yeah.
first day, I'm just sensory overload, and
Yeah.
so, how many days we try to stay, my brother and I go with my brother Dylan, we try to stay at least 3 days, including the
Okay.
early showing day. Do you have a length of time you usually try to stay?
Yeah, it depends on the flights and when I can get off of work and when work kind of hits
Mhm.
or not. But I've probably been in the past, I'll fly in like on a Thursday, do Friday,
Sure,
Saturday, maybe leave Sunday afternoon. So kind of 2.5. This
sure.
year I went ahead, I'm probably going to fly in Wednesday and see if I can, I may miss that first kind of half day, but definitely Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe leave on Sunday. Um,
Ooh,
I have a friend who lives there too. I may stay with him or may stay closer to the event venue. I'm not quite sure on that yet, but I'll go probably 3 days. I don't mind walking as long as I have good pairs of shoes. It's like
sure.
miles a day. You walk up and down, you see people, you go back. I missed that over here. What was that over here? And I just like seeing the stuff. But
Mhm.
again, you have a want list. You just got to walk to find it. You can't like, oh, no one's going to tell you, table 445 over here has what you need. You got to
Yeah.
peruse, it feels like. And so I enjoy the kind of hunt, the look,
Mhm.
just kind of like, oh my gosh, what is all there? But I also don't want to spend all my money like on the first day and then be walking around like, well, I got my card, but I want to kind of do some other stuff on Friday and Saturday. So it's a balancing act for sure when you go something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely, and I think it's I'm always what I've noticed about Unopen in particular is, they're the usual, there's Ripping Vintage Packs, Kurt Christensen's company, there's, of course,
Yep.
Baseball Card Exchange and some of the other really notable unopened,
Yep.
but then a lot of other dealers, they'll have, like, 5 packs or 10 packs, and they'll just be sitting there, and no one else
Yeah.
is looking at them
Yep.
unopened. It's kind of the ugly stepchild of sometimes with at this show. I mean, I wouldn't trade going for anything in the world.
Yeah.
It's my literally my favorite thing to do. It is so much fun.
You find your
But
tables, you gotta write them down. I have to write them down. I've lost tables before. Like, what row was
ooh,
that on? I'm on the row. I swear it was here, and like it disappears. But it's
yeah,
so massive, you got to write down table numbers. And like, I saw the light fixture here over the bathrooms. Here's where Kurt's thing is, or here's where BBC is. Well, they have a big, massive. You can't miss them. But other
yeah.
people that have one or two you may want to look at, yeah, you got to like take notes and have a latitude longitude thing going on to find those tables. It's just so big.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we didn't go, last year, but we went in 2023, and
Yep,
it seems like they have added so much more
I was there
space,
too. Yeah. Mhm.
and, we were coming down the escalator to go in this entrance I'd never even seen before, like, it was like,
Yep.
"This is it seems like a new," and it was just all the new sections they've added with it does have a little bit more of a corporate feel than it
Yeah.
used to, but
Yep.
I think that's just kinda where the hobby's going right now, I don't know, but it was even more overwhelming, so did you go in 2024 or
I
did we
didn't
skip
go
it?
in 24, just went in 23. But in 23, I remember like you were saying, I'm like, what is this thing over here? Did this used to be here? It was like 200
Yeah.
other tables on the side they had some pack people over there. I think maybe Kurt may have been there too. I forget, but a
Yeah,
bunch
yeah,
of the
yep, yep.
corporate people were over there too. But I'm used to like the main big room, which is already overwhelming in and of itself, let alone this
Yeah.
thing on the side you may forget to go back to. But cool
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
there as well. So we'll see in 25, I guess, here in like 6 or so months. Like, do they have even more space? They probably could, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah,
Yeah, I think they said they added even more coverage this year. I saw an advertise. It's hard to understand what some of their we've added more space. Okay, what does that mean?
yeah.
You know, like, is this a VIP lounge or do you do the VIP thing or what do you
I
just do the
haven't done that ever, but
yeah,
this year I went ahead and bought one of the 5 day passes that
there
has
you
like
go.
the VIP access and some of the signers. I think part of that, this autographs tied to too. Never done that. I've only bought single day passes before, and I won't actually be there all 5 days. But some of the signers
Sure.
usually have a few Bears or Cubs guys. If I have a ball or football, I may bring it to go and do that for an hour, wait in line and do that versus
Sure.
walking all the time. But I'll see how
Sure.
that is. I think there is a VIP access tied to that in some way, shape, or form with this.
Mhm.
But again, I'll probably be there for three to 5 days. I buy just to see
Cool.
how it works. Yep.
Cool. So you mentioned you're a Cubs fan. I won't hold that against you. Do
I
you have
know.
is there a certain do you do Cubs unopened the way you do Bears?
I really don't. It's funny. Yeah, no, I affinity more for the Bears. That was my first team I ever followed. I watched the Cubs when we first got cable as a family in 1990. So
Mhm.
WGN. Every
Sure.
summer, the Cubs playing day games or night games. And the 90 through 94 Cubs weren't all that good or all that special, but seeing guys like Ryan Sandberg, Andre Dawson, much of other common guys you would never know unless you watched the team in the early 90s. Greg Maddux, of course, was there too, Hall of Famer, but more
Mhm.
known probably with the Braves later in the 90s with all the championships that they won in the NL. But no, I have a few balls signed by Ernie Banks ball, Andre Dawson ball. Nothing Cubs on. No, I do have some stuff. It's not here a show right now on the channel, but I do have some Cubs runs of Cubs players I put together in terms of some of the cheaper racks, like 87 tops I have
Okay.
I like. But mostly it's on the unopened side, the Bears for Chicago. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Sure. No, I totally understand. What's funny is, I'm a Reds fan. I don't so naturally I don't like the Cubs, but
Yeah.
I love I've got an item coming today. This is actually a
Okay.
really great distraction while I wait for the mail. I've got a 77 top cello coming with the Cubs floating heads team card on top.
Oh yeah, I've seen those probably on the site, the Facebook site. Yeah.
I absolutely think it is so cool that these floating head team cards finding packs with them showing, and because the White Sox had, I think in '75, they had their own floating heads team card.
Okay.
The Cubs did for some years in the '70s, but not all of
Hmm.
them. I think going up to '81, and then there's some years they skipped. But I had a run going for a while, and I decided to move in a different direction
Okay.
of Cubs floating heads team card cello and rack packs. So I've got one coming today that would have I saw the price was right on eBay, and I just had to snatch it. But
Yeah.
I don't like but I just love their so I guess I'm a big hypocrite with my teams because I just, I've got a '76 cello with Bill Madlock on top. That's one of my favorite cards of the '70s.
Yep.
Totally underrated player. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that,
No, the
but
floating heads are funny because the floating heads, someone had to be cutting them out to like make these heads and not shave off someone's ear or sideburns and then put them on this card 20 at a time. I don't
yeah,
think football ever did that. I think maybe it's just a baseball thing. I could be
yeah.
wrong, but I've seen a lot of baseball team sets or team checklists with those things on them for sure.
Yeah, because I was wondering if, yeah, because I know if the Chicago team baseball teams were doing this, did the football teams do it? And that doesn't seem to be you're
I
right, I
don't
don't
think
recall ever
I
seeing
don't think they did it in the Bears. I don't, the football didn't have a lot of, I think, team cards the same way baseball. They may have had team checklists, which baseball probably had
Mhm.
too. But again, despite them both being tops in the 70s, they just had different ways of showing the players off. There were certainly more cards in baseball than football. Almost every year, it seemed like, given the size of the roster, was probably bigger than football, right? So who knows why? But yeah, those floating heads cards are kind of cool too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So you have when you're collecting Cubs cards, is it mostly graded? Are you a raw card guy more generally? Like, what is your approach when you're buying cards out of the
Single,
package?
yeah, out of the pack, I would say if it's old enough, I always worry about things being not authentic. But again, I know it's probably a very not everyone's going to be forging a common card right from
Sure,
1960, right? But I
sure,
like the raw ones. I'm going down a path of kind of finding some raw baseball Hall of Famers right now. Some graded, some not. PSA
sure.
he doesn't really kind of matter to me as long as it represents a year that means something to me and them, I guess.
Mhm.
Rookie cards of some guys are definitely out of my price league and probably will always be out of my price league. But if I can find the last card of a player has all their stats on the back is kind of cool, or maybe the card that has the stat on the back from the last year where maybe they won the MVP, won the ERA crown, batting title, whatever it was. It'll talk about it in the back of the card saying, hey, so and so won this in 1966. Cool,
Hmm.
right? The card may be 67, but it says the stuff about 66 on the back. So I kind of like that tie back to the player, maybe one of his high points of his career. And I find
Sure.
being raw, if it's graded for the right price and the shipping and all that doesn't kind of add up to too much, I don't mind that
Sure.
either. I've never gotten anything graded myself. I've always only bought graded things. I haven't quite
Hmm.
learned how to kind of do that yet, although it's easy. I'm sure once you look at the website, talk to you guys how to do it and people I know on the other sites, right? But I've usually bought more than sent things in, but I'm fine with it being raw too.
Sure. Sure. I'm with packs. I'm fine with raw. Like a lot of the time, you have to be, as you pointed out earlier, you have to be very cautious on eBay because
Yep.
there are so many sellers that are just that I don't even know. A lot of the time, I don't even think they know they're selling resealed stuff. They just don't care one way or the other, or they haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
Some of them are actively resealing, but I think some of it's just ignorance. But to me, I'm cautious with PSA because of what they've been doing with packs. Have you been following that? Some of the it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm terrified to send stuff to them to send
Yeah,
packs
I
to them.
see some look great. And I've actually bought a bunch of graded packs, football, of course, the
Yep.
last probably few
Yep.
months or so, and eights and nines look great, but they were graded,
Hmm.
several years, if not more ago. I'd love
Sure.
to send some of my stuff in that I have, I think would grade well, or at least be nice to preserve. But I
Hmm.
hear things like this, and maybe hopefully it's only one out of every 10 times it happens, but even the one out of 10 times it may happen, or maybe it's one out of five or one out of 20, you don't want that to be your pack. I would hate to
Yeah.
have something get messed up because I sent it in and just had the wrong person look at it. The process isn't quite QC to kind of not scrunch and crash things,
Yeah.
So I love to do it. I love to save some more that I have in slabs, but right now I'll just probably buy someone else's work as long as it looks
Sure.
nice and the card on top is what I'm collecting or it goes to a run I'm collecting. But yeah, I've not sent something in myself to any grading company at this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never actually sent all the packs that I have that are graded, I've bought after they've been graded. I've never
Yep.
actually sent in a pack myself to be graded. I have sent in autographs to get authenticated and things like
Okay.
that, PSA, but I'm just not a big, I mean, I'll buy it on the secondary market. I don't care one way or
Yeah.
the other. And like you, if it's a card, I don't really buy a lot of cards anymore, but SGC is fine. So you don't really have the brand loyalty either. Like if you like the card, you'll buy it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know PSA has been around for, I don't know, 30 years, 25 years. I mean, I didn't know what grading even was until, I mean, I knew what it was, but probably 5, 10 years ago, I didn't even care about it. I bought
Mhm.
a few, but just because they were there, not because they were graded by somebody. But in the
Sure.
last probably 6 months, I've gone down and put together a run of 80s Topps football cello packs, all graded,
Mhm.
80s Topps wax packs, all graded, but I bought them as they were already graded at a lot at
Sure.
an 8 or 9 where I want to get them in a certain grade. And again, you can't see
Mhm.
who's on the back or front of some of those, deep, like blue and red color packs right here, right? But some of the
Sure.
sleeves, of course, you can see the cello, the front and back, rack, front and back too. So it doesn't matter to me, honestly. I think only PSA grades packs. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's another company that does, I think it's CSG, the comic book company.
Oh, I didn't know that. Hmm.
They've recently stepped into the pack grading, and I think they'll do rack packs, and there's people that like their holders. But,
Okay.
there was an issue there because they weren't clear about who the authenticator was for the company or who the
Oh,
authenticators were. And as you
okay.
know, this is an area where you need to know who is looking at the pack. The reason Baseball Card Exchange has any brand power is because Steve Hart's name's on it, right?
Yeah.
That's Kirk Christensen ripping vintage packs, same thing. Like
Yeah.
who is authenticating it. So I think that's if it's a pack, it's authentic.
Yeah.
Find a company that has a cool holder to put it in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
I
probably I wouldn't buy a pack, a 1977 Topps football pack ungraded off eBay.
sure,
If I could see
sure.
it in my hand and kind of look at it and kind of do some
Hmm.
look in the light, all that stuff, I would. But maybe at the National, I'd consider it. But right now, I'm looking for things already graded and having that stamp of approval on them.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Fair enough. Do you have some other packs you wanted to share? I know I told you it was kind of a free for all. You could share whatever you do. You have some other packs that are special to you that you want to show or
Yeah.
talk about?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you got to get back to work, so I don't want to take 2 hours of your time up, right, by showing all the stuff I have. But we all both have day jobs and all that. But I have a few I can show you here that
Sure, sure.
and some of them are boxes too. But speaking of Kurt, I've got this at the National last year. This is a sorry, 85
Oh,
top football
oh, sweet.
box,
Cool.
wrapped by RVP. Again, no mark on the top here, but liked it because
Yeah.
we have Walter Payton showing on the back.
Oh, that's
Right.
cool.
I love the box bottom cards.
Hmm.
Baseball, football had those in the 80s too, and just seeing the different types of players. And usually they were different photos of the players too, not they were different than the base tops card was of these players in some cases. So seeing a new view of Lawrence Taylor, Walter Payton, anybody else on the bottom plus their main card was also kind of cool too. So love
Sure,
the black borders on this one too, and had that set when I was in 8 years old too, back in the day.
sure.
Speaking of kind of cheaper things, this is not gonna win any awards, but this, sorry, camera.
No, you're
89
fine.
tops football, pretty cheap, easy to kind of put together. The top's missing
Sure.
on this. And I bought
Hmm.
the packs from a guy in our vintage wax and packs group. He had 36 of them, no box. I'm like, this is the set I bought the most of because long story
Hmm.
short, we were overseas in Air Force Base when I was in fourth and fifth grade. And the
Mm.
BX over there only had 89 tops football, no baseball, just football. So me being a card guy, I'm like, all the allowance money went to this set this year. And you got Michael Urban, Thurman Thomas, but no one's gonna like, there's no Deion Sanders to blow you out of the water. Barry Sanders was in the traded set, I think, that year, the update set, 89 tops. But one of the guys had 36 packs. And this box actually here, I had kept this box from an old local card shop. I'd asked him, hey, can I have the box when I was like not 10 years old. I had this
Mhm.
box empty for like 35 years. When the
Huh.
guys in the group had 36 packs, I'm like, let's put them together. Here you go. There's no top on it, but it kind of brings me back to buying those packs and how many I bought. And again, I like the box. Show them here too, I guess. Again, different players on
Oh
the
yeah,
bottom. You've got kind of MVPs or kind of highlights of certain weeks of the NFL season on the bottom there too. So kind of cool to see that on the
that
back
is
of the
cool.
boxes too. But yeah, no, I think it's just more of a local card shop thing. Like take me back to when I bought all these cards. You'd see them on the rows on the countertop and wondering what was in these packs and just buying them and ripping them and putting sets together kind of makes me want to keep that aesthetic as unopened, I guess. And because I've opened
Hmm.
some 89 Pro sets, some tops, but that's few and far between. I'll just keep them as they are as more of like a showpiece in the room I have
Sure.
my cards in. But something else that I do like, let me go to this here. This is a 86 tops football. It's in a team
Yep.
bag right now with the 1,000 yard
Sure.
player on top. But on the back, I bought this off eBay, and I think the person didn't realize you could see who was on the back. Maybe hard to see here, but it's the fridge, William Perry. I know it's kind
Oh,
of hard to see in
cool.
the team bag, but again, that's his rookie card showing on the back of this pack right here.
That's
Again,
cool.
Jerry Rice and others in that set being having rookies. I can't buy
Hmm.
too many of these or a full box, but I want what I'd love to be able to buy it for. But love having the Bears, even if it's on the back and you only see the stats on the back about the fridge there.
Sure.
So
Yep.
I do like Peyton as well. You've probably seen that in some of the Facebook sites. There's a lot of
Hmm.
Peyton and Bears guys on this site. So it's like if a Bears pack comes up, it's like sharks in the waters, like who's gonna bid on who's gonna and I know on eBay, if I see people bidding, I'm like, I bet it's these three people plus me, plus other random people bidding on these packs. So I gotta like watch out not to be too aggressive in that area. But I do like this one here. This is a 82 tops football rack
Oh
pack.
yeah.
Peyton on in the middle between Phil Simms and then Brian Sipe, both of which you probably wish they'd had a better running back in terms of those times of their career there. So, but on the
Wow.
back of this middle cell, right, you got Peyton. The middle cell on the back has the Peyton brothers card. If you remember that card from '82.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Walter and Eddie had their own little brothers card, plus probably 7 other sets of brothers. But that's in the same cell, front and back as Peyton, and then the brothers card in the back of this, which I thought was kind of cool
Oh, that is awesome.
seeing
Yeah.
that. And that was an eBay pickup too, I want to say as well. So, and this card actually too is kind of funny, this Brian Sipe card. So I may have mentioned this on my channel, and even some of the Facebook posts I've made in the group, but I
Mhm.
got into football cards buying, it was like these Scholastic book fair things would come to your school like twice a year. And I think in
Mhm.
second grade, my parents, of course, not me, bought for $5. Here's an introductory sports card, baseball, football card starter collecting kit. It had like
Mhm.
5 cards in it, maybe a price guide, maybe some flimsy pages. It was like 86. Who knows what quality they were. But this Brian Sipe was actually one of those cards I got. And I still have the
Oh,
card I got out of that, plus some other random common players from the 80s tops football teams. But this was that one of those cards. So again, no allegiance to the Browns or Brian Sipe as a person, a human, or a football player. But again, that card does take me back to that first introduction to what football cards and even card collecting even was
sure.
back then. So but yeah,
That's
things with
awesome.
bears on top are great. I have a bunch more. Certainly, I could show as well, but
Mhm.
those get pricey because again, the Bears have a loyal following across the country. Peyton,
Hmm.
arguably the greatest runner ever, at least definitely as of his time, net of Jim Brown also being kind of 1 and 2 there as well. And
Hmm.
just the lure of, I mean, him having passed so early, having the rushing record, Super Bowl 20, didn't get a touchdown, but still having that allure of Peyton, the Bears, McMahon, Ditka, all those years, and people like maybe myself and yourself who are mid-ish 40s, I'm guessing, 40, 50-ish, or late 30s, knew that
Hmm.
team, Monsters of the
Hmm.
Midway, and there's just a lot of people love that team and those sets. So it's hard to find when they come up. There's always lots of people looking at them.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's one thing I love about the rack packs, that example that you showed. The fact
Mhm.
that you can have multiple cards of the same player, sometimes in the same cell, or
Yeah.
you'll see these crazy things where it's the same card on the front and the back, like one of the 82 rack that had the Lee Smith rookie on front and back that Tim sold in the group
Yeah, I
recently.
saw that. Yeah, it's so cool. And those
Some
guys
of,
have so much knowledge about what can be and what sell. I'm like, where did you, is there a book? But it's just, I think through learning and doing so much, they kind of know the patterns. And you
sure.
had to be there to know it, I guess, and open so many packs to know that was what they did. It's so cool to think about that that actually exists. There's a way to
Oh, yeah.
pattern that stuff. So,
Well, and I think it takes time. You have to look at a lot of packs and you have to open a lot of packs. And I think that's where, unless
yeah,
you were around in a time period where it was not going to be a, very expensive endeavor to open a 75 tops baseball mini
yeah,
pack or a cello pack, the only way to learn is to look at the cards. Here's how they came out
yep,
here's how tops package them. And so, there's a knowledge gap that I don't have the money to to learn firsthand. So
yep.
we have to rely on others. Um, but yeah, there's so much more to learn, and I'm amazed, to your point, at the knowledge of some of the individuals in this area. It's like,
Yeah.
where were you there in the factory, like watching
Yeah.
these rack packs be put
Is
into,
someone taking notes about every pack they open up, like writing down who was on what and doing some algorithm to say, oh my gosh, there's a pattern. I see it now. I'm gonna look for that Lee Smith.
yeah,
That's so some random guy on top. But behind the
yeah.
random guy is, you name the guy. So people know that from opening. I think, like you said, experience for sure.
Yeah. Well, and this is before the internet. A lot of this knowledge was obtained
Yeah.
before the internet, and we've retained it, which I think is really great because
Yes.
it's easy to get in this area. It just like other areas of the hobby, wherever there's money to be made, there are people who are unscrupulous, and so knowledge becomes. That's one of the reasons I try to harp on that on my channel. Is like, don't
Yep.
get swindled. Do the background before you buy something.
You got it.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, but thanks so much for taking the time to chat. I know
Yeah,
you're
of
a busy
course.
guy too, and I'm glad we were finally able to take some time to do this. Did you have any other items you cared to show before anything that sentimental or other?
Yeah, some of those the players like I mentioned, this one with the Brian Sipe on it means a lot because it's the one first
Sure.
card I got. Plus Peyton being there is like a nice bonus for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I do, like I said, I mentioned one of the guys I do enjoy collecting and is on the top of some packs every now and then is Jim McMahon, again, quarterback of the
Oh,
Super
cool.
Bowl 20
Sure.
Bears.
Yeah.
That was a key card I needed to finish my 86 top set like in 1988 when I was a 9-year-old kid. I remember I was cleaning the set, buying it pack by pack, going to swap meets every
Mm,
now and then too. And the last card I needed was that Jim McMahon card. And I bought
mm,
that card from my local card shop in Tucson, Arizona. Like the last card I needed was get this card, finally got it. And he was, this year was also the year right after they won the Super Bowl. On the back, it would talk about them winning Super Bowl 20. Love the Bears,
mhm.
love the green, love the white there in the
Oh, yeah.
background too. And just the picture of him, tossing one down the field right here to who knows who. But that means a lot to me too, because that was one of those sets I built hand by hand as a 7, 8 year old. Last card to finish the set was that one. And there it was on top
Sure.
of a rack pack. So again, they are more expensive than 87 tops or 89 tops because of Rice and Reed and Young
Mhm.
and Smith and all those guys too. But no, I enjoy that. That brings back a lot of good memories as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love
Yep.
the design of the 86 tops. That's awesome. Quick question: where'd you get the rack pack holders that you've shown some pretty cool stuff?
Yeah. So I should have like maybe taken them out to maybe see them better too. But these were ones on our Vintage Wax and Packs group. There was a guy who was selling them probably a couple years ago. I bought maybe a
Uh-huh.
case of 40 or 50 of them. And they're
Yeah.
just, plastic like this. I can't take
Yeah.
credit for having made them or all, but they do keep them pretty tight.
Cool.
So rigid where you'd have to like would hurt the card, I don't think. But once you get them in
Mhm.
there, they kind of mold themselves to what the rack pack is. And I've kept all my at least nicer
That's
racks in those. I probably have a few extra that around too for future purchase, I guess. But they're
Sure.
good in case I drop things. Unfortunately, every now and then they don't mess up the rack, the card. They kind of have that harder outside shell to them. So I do enjoy those. Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I'll have to look those up because I don't mind. I enjoy getting the BBC authenticated packs, but also if I know a pack's clean, there's nothing. Keep it raw and find
Yeah.
another way to keep it in a holder. Besides the big top load. So that looks like a really good way to store them. Well,
Yep.
awesome. Well, thanks again, Tony. It's great
Yeah.
chatting
Thank
with
you,
you.
Brandon.
Absolutely. Good luck with your collecting pursuits, and I will have to get a beer at the National.
Yeah. Well, let's talk again maybe on this channel some other time too, if you want, about new things you're picking up, maybe after the national, post national, pre national. We can talk more about it. So
That sounds great. Sounds great.
cool, man.
Okay. Take
Yep.
care.
See you, Brandon.
Yep. See
Yep.
you.
Bye.
Bye.